Welcome to President's Part 1, the first half of a two-part workshop. We're glad to have you join us, and we hope to give you enough key information about the big picture of PTA for you to be empowered as a PTA president. We want you to succeed as the manager of your team. I'm Sandy Russell. I'm a member of the Leadership Commission and also Vice Chair of the Resolutions Committee.
I'm Michelle Hurst. I'm also on the Leadership Commission and I sit on the Bylaws Committee.
So let's get started.
All right, so here's an overview of what we'll be covering. In this class, we'll be covering your key roles as president and getting started. Managing your PTA and how-tos will be covered in President Part 2. You'll notice that team building and working with conflict is covered in another workshop. We're going to share some slides from the PTA Basics and Finances for All classes to highlight some of the topics covered. Information on each slide is covered more in depth in that workshop. If you did not have a chance to attend, it will be available as a recording. We encourage you to share the PTA Basics and Finance for All and the Compliance class with your fellow officers and committee chairs. We are all fiduciary stewards of the organization.
PTA is the nation's oldest and largest volunteer advocacy organization on behalf of all children and families, helping to improve the quality of education, health, and general well-being. Our California State PTA mission is to positively impact the lives of all children and families. Your school's PTA is the unit or association. Your unit is a self-governing body to establish your own activities and do your own planning to meet your local community's needs. Most units are supported by a council of PTAs. PTA councils are made up of the PTAs in a school district or geographical area and provide training and coordination of efforts of the member units. If your PTA is in a council, make sure to find out the council's meeting schedule. All councils and out-of-council units are supported by a district PTA. The districts provide training and communications from the California State PTA. You should have access to several opportunities for learning more about PTA and your position this term through your district PTA. The California State PTA is a branch of the National PTA and provides materials, training, and support to all of the units, councils, districts within the state. The California State PTA represents you on many statewide committees and organizations. We also have an active, respected influence in Sacramento, speaking for our children and families. The National PTA is the largest child advocacy organization in the nation. There are PTAs in all 50 United States, the District of Columbia, U.S. Virgin Islands, and in schools for American dependents in Europe and the Pacific area. All of these organizations create a safety net for you. One of the strongest points of being a PTA. You always have someone to ask questions, to provide guidance and assistance. There are people who understand your position and can give you the information you need. Make sure to find out who your council and district officers are, when the meetings are, and how to reach them for assistance. The only bad question is the one not asked. So on this slide, we want to mention that PTAs can endorse school bonds and parcel taxes. Please see the PTA toolkit for more information, and it can be found on our website at capta.org. PTAs, though, cannot endorse candidates. You as an individual can support candidates, school boards, or parcel taxes. What you cannot do is use your position title when you endorse. You can list yourself as Mary Smith, but you cannot list yourself as Mary Smith PTA president or Mary Smith former PTA president. The PTA Basics workshop provides more information on all three of these basic policies.
So your unit bylaws are the most important document that you will need to do your job. Make yourself a note right now to get a copy for the current board. If you don't have a copy, check with your council or district. All executive board members should have a copy of your bylaws to be placed in their procedure book. It's a good thing to go through your bylaws as a board together once a year. It's a great orientation and a way to start the year. Everyone will be on the same page and have the same understanding of what is required when and what is each person's responsibility. So why are your bylaws so important? The bylaws provide the basic information to help you run a PTA and help keep you focused on doing good things for children. Your bylaws tell you how to define a member, how to become a member, and the dues amount and the membership due dates. Unit bylaws state who the officers are, how and when they are elected, and what each officer does. They provide for the election of the nominating committee and state the basic responsibilities of each officer. Additional information can be found in the standing rules and in the toolkit. In the standing rules, you'll find the members of your executive board are listed there, their roles and responsibilities to the executive board, as well as the meeting dates of the executive board. The standing committees of your PTA are also listed in your standing rules and what they do and how the committees are formed and how chairmen of the committees are appointed. Bylaws need to be reviewed every year and they must be updated at least every 5 years. We have a list here of required forms. These are all tax related. Learn more about these required forms from the compliance workshop. But please note that these are required by law for any and all nonprofit organizations. As president, you need to work with your treasurer and your board to ensure that these forms are submitted in a timely fashion. There are 3 required positions for all nonprofit organizations like PTAs: president, treasurer, and secretary. You must have all 3 positions filled in order to be a PTA. Also required by PTA are the board positions of parliamentarian, auditor, historian, principal, and teacher representative. Optional board positions we advise are executive vice president, which serves in an overall general capacity, or a vice president who serves in a specific capacities, such as membership or fundraising. Additional board positions, some may have a financial secretary or a correspondence secretary. Check your bylaws for your specific officers. While most of these positions are not required by law, other than president, treasurer, and secretary, they are not filled by other board members who need to take on those responsibilities. I'm sorry, if they are not filled, other board members need to take on those responsibilities. So here's some background information. While each board position has specific tasks assigned, it is the responsibility of the entire board to work collaboratively and fulfill the duties of the office, to uphold the policies and procedures of the California state and national PTA, to study and follow unit bylaws and standing rules, participate in meetings, complete assignments, and meet due dates, maintain confidentiality on board business, protect members' privacy by allowing no distribution of membership lists to outside interests or businesses, supply an accurate and detailed account of funds entrusted to them, grow leadership by mentoring new leaders, attend conferences, workshops, and conventions, and act as a steward to protect the assets of the PTA. This is not only the treasurer's job to account for and safeguard funds.
President duties. Now let's get started and talk about these specific details. The overall job of a PTA president is to act as a communicator for your PTA with the school, the community, staff, and families. You are the link between many of these groups, and it is anticipated that you will facilitate conversations between them. By keeping the general membership in touch, you earn the respect and trust of the community, and PTA will build influence to champion the interests of children and families. If you recognize and maximize the PTA's role, you will bring many benefits to your unit, council, and your community. This checklist provides an overview of the duties of the PTA president. These duties are stated in the bylaws. A full job description is in the toolkit. You will coordinate the work of officers and committees. The president is an ex officio member of all committees except the nominating committee. The president never serves on the nominating committee. All printed materials are to be approved by the PTA president and school principal before printing and distributing. The principal is responsible for the accuracy of school information, compliance with the Ed Code, and school district policy. The PTA president is responsible for accuracy of PTA information and compliance with the PTA policy. You'll also preside at all meetings of the executive board and of the association. You appoint a parliamentarian, chairman, and members of committees as stated in your bylaws, and then the executive board ratifies these appointments.
Make sure you are familiar with and understand basic financial procedures as explained in the toolkit. Sign all authorizations for payment along with the secretary. Sign contracts. We're going to get more specific on that on the next slide. As stated in the bylaws, you are one of the authorized check signers for your PTA. They include the president, treasurer, and one or two other elected officers, excluding the secretary and the auditor. Never sign a blank check. As an authorized check signer, you can't be related by blood or marriage or reside in the same household as other authorized signers for your unit's financial accounts. In addition, the president works with the treasurer and auditor to ensure their financial reports are completed, approved, and submitted to council or district PTA by their due dates. So make sure that all contracts are read thoroughly. Remember that you are signing a document that leaves your PTA liable. All contracts must be presented and discussed at an executive board meeting. The appropriate officer or chairman must have authorization from the executive board before negotiating a contract. Receive the contract in writing. Understand the terms and conditions of the contract. If you do not understand them, then have the contract reviewed by legal counsel and/or the California State PTA insurance broker if needed. Ensure that the length of the contract is limited to the current membership year and does not encumber future boards. The membership then votes on the contract after it is presented at an association meeting. All contracts must be approved by the association before being signed. Then the contract must be signed by two elected officers, one of whom must be the president. None of your appointed officers can sign the contract. And you can see there on the slide how you should sign PTA or ABC PTA by Mary Smith, president, year 2020-2021.
So PTA presidents are collaborators. The president is the point person for PTA. As a PTA representative, presidents collaborate with other PTA branches, the school, and community groups to strengthen these partnerships. You are the official contact. Presidents are listed in that way as the official contact for PTA. And that means they receive mail, email, and e-news from national, state, and district and council PTAs. With the principal, your president meets regularly with the principal to build a good working relationship. This lets them stay on the same page to coordinate PTA activities with school activities. I would suggest that you try to set up a regular meeting, maybe once a month, set the time, work with them on what works best. Perhaps if you have other organizations within the school, maybe all the heads of those organizations all meet once a month so that you can collaborate on a calendar. You also represent your unit by attending council and district PTA meetings. If you can't be there, remember to send a representative. Other duties include activities such as appointing a parliamentarian, chairman, and committee members. And these appointments are ratified by the board and the association. Ensuring annual reports of your unit's volunteer hours is completed and sent through channels to either your council or your district. The report is due in May. Completing other duties listed in bylaws or assigned by the association. For example, the president might be a spokesperson for a unit at a school board meeting. The relationship between a principal and a PTA president is vital to the success of your PTA. It is so important for the PTA president to be supportive of the principal as well. You as the PTA president are the representative of the parent group on campus. It is important to be the role model. The PTA president should get to know school district policies that include parents and their rights. Sit down with the principal, ask him or her important policy questions that you have. Make sure to let your board and parents know about these policies as well. As the president, you need to make sure that school district policies are upheld at all times. Work on establishing good communication with the principal. Show respect and you should receive it. If not, do it anyway and keep on trying. Make sure to schedule regular meetings to discuss PTA plans and ideas like we had talked before. Never sidestep the principal. You must build trust. That comes with honest and frank discussions that also represent parental concerns. It is part of the president's duties to see that the principal approves all written PTA communications, flyers, newsletters, and notices that are distributed to parents. Make sure to give adequate time for those approvals. This includes print and electronic media. The principal of the school or designated representative, although not an elected officer, serves in an advisory capacity with full voting privileges on your executive board. The principal of the school or a faculty representative appointed by the principal, if not elected, member of the nominating committee, shall serve in an advisory capacity. But the principal does not vote during the nominating committee deliberations unless they're on that nominating committee. So show your support. The entire school community is watching. Students, parents, and staff members, your enthusiasm and attitude represent your PTA, so let it shine. The two leaders also share joint responsibilities. We have already covered regular two-way communication and its importance. The principal should always be assigned a time on the PTA meeting agenda to give the membership an update on school district news and plans. Sharing of information is absolutely necessary for good communications. And I will say that it is also one of those reasons why many people come to PTA meetings is because they know they're going to hear this information from your principal. PTA meetings and events should be scheduled in advance, even before the year starts, with consideration of the school calendar. Testing dates and special holidays should always be considered when making plans for the year. The PTA and the principal may request that each provide certain information and services. PTA believes that PTA funds should not be used to support activities or programs that are the responsibility of the school district. Mutual respect for the position that each holds is another critical factor for having a positive attitude in the working relationship. Respect includes recognition of the duties and responsibilities of the PTA and the recognition that the principal, as a school district local authority, has the responsibility of the management of the school's site. Promoting family engagement is one of the purposes of PTA. It is also a requirement for school districts to do so as well. Therefore, this should be a joint effort. It is the job of the principal to see that the curriculum is followed by his or her staff. Discussions should be held with the principal to see how the PTA can support the curriculum by sponsoring events or school programs. PTA planning, 5 steps to get started. So following these steps provides an opportunity to get more people actively engaged in PTA at the start of the school year. Getting people involved early, giving them some ownership and generating a buzz about PTA on campus will only help to get people excited, right? As a part of your outreach, use a survey listing different kinds of volunteer opportunities throughout the school year so that everyone can sign up to help. As soon as the election takes place at your PTA, your board-elect can begin to meet. You don't need to wait until July 1st to start planning. Now, you can't vote or put anything in place because you still have an existing board, right? But you can start your planning, and we encourage you to do so. Whenever your PTA has officers, these are steps to take in planning for your PTA. Board orientation. To get organized for the PTA year, the incoming board should begin meeting as soon as elected. Remember to allocate time to get to know each other. Ground rules, set them. At the first meeting, set the ground rules or norms to help you work together more effectively. The professional governance standards is a great place to start, and it can be found online at the capta.org. Remember, it's called the Professional Governance Standards. Michelle, would you like to do the insurance guide?
Okay, well, I know that's your favorite, but I will. The insurance guide explains the PTA insurance coverage, or the insurance program. You need to read through the green, yellow, and red light pages to ensure your planned activities are allowable. Do not do any red light activities, since the insurance will not cover your PTA. Please read the cautions and concerns under the yellow light activities. If you have questions, contact the insurance company directly, and review your predecessor's procedure book. This is so important to follow the insurance guide.
And I'm just going to add here, Michelle, because she does know insurance is one of my big things. Share this guide with your entire board.
Yes.
Same thing with your bylaws. You don't hide this information. You share this so that you can all be on the same page.
All righty. Programs. The what? Set goals for your PTA so everyone has input and information on your priorities for the upcoming year. It also gives you a roadmap to follow to make a difference in your community. The executive board has the responsibility for setting the PTA's proposed goals and program activities. Depending on your association, you may have a separate program committee whose main job it is to come up with ideas and to make recommendations for your PTA programs that align with your goals and meet the needs of your community.
Planning what PTA activities to organize also determines your PTA calendar. Check your bylaws and see when your meetings are supposed to be held so you can make sure you get those programs authorized ahead of time. Before scheduling PTA activities, check for holidays and school events to set timelines to organize the activities.
PTA's main purpose is to promote family engagement in school and to support student success. That's why PTA only raises the funds needed for its activities and projects as outlined in the adopted budget. The 3-to-1 rule. For every fundraising activity, there should be at least 3 non-fundraising projects, programs, or events aimed at supporting family engagement and student success.
Student involvement in designing your fundraising projects. Remember that students should not be used or exploited to raise funds. The association should approve programs, budget, membership plan, and fundraising plans for the year at the very first meeting, at the beginning of the school year, and before any plans are implemented. Remember that all of the pre-work is organized by the executive board, but it is your association that must approve all of this before you get started.
Create a membership committee to develop membership goals, a campaign for outreach, and a plan to boost membership. Be sure to brag about what your PTA does for the school community. Sometimes not everybody knows. Membership recruitment is an ongoing and inclusive process that should reflect your community. In normal times, you would suggest setting up a PTA table at every school event with cards and resources so everyone has a chance to sign up and be a member.
It's also a good idea to provide a welcome packet in the office for families joining your community after the start of the school year. Use the methods which works best for your school community online or with payment by check or cash. To get started, contact your council or district to get membership envelopes and cards. Units can also print their own envelopes if you desire. For more information on membership campaigns, view the workshops on Totem Electronic Membership System, Membership Basics, and Marketing Your PTA. So your budget. The budget is your financial plan for PTA activities and a guideline to control spending. Decide first on the programs and activities, and then how you will fund them. Once elected, the president-elect can create a budget committee chaired by the treasurer-elect to develop a preliminary budget. If your election is after July 1st, then it is the treasurer who chairs the budget committee. The prior board does not create the budget for the next year, although they can assist you with information and with help. As your PTA is in the planning stages, all the information on programs, events, and fundraisers will be submitted by the board and used by the budget committee. It is important to get input from the entire board as to the budget.
The treasurer, as lead, gathers all the information and budget items to present to the committee and executive board and association. So remember that income should equal expenses. Estimate probable income from all sources and balance the income with expenses. Make sure you present a balanced budget between income and expenses. You can't spend money you don't have. Preliminary budget. This is presented to the membership by the treasurer-elect at the last PTA meeting of the school year. This lets the board-elect cover routine summer expenses as outlined in the bylaws. As well, remember to get the authorization for summer spending by the new board at the last association meeting of the year. The budget is only a plan and can be changed or modified with the 2/3 membership approval at any point of the year at an association meeting. This is
So
the
this
end.
is the end,
Oh, I'm
right?
sorry, Sandy, you go.
No, we're good. We're totally good. This is the end of President's Part 1. Please contact us at the email above if you have any questions at all. And we hope that you plan on joining us for Part 2 for more critical information in being how to be a president. Thanks for joining us. Bye.